Get motivated, all you listeners, because it's Business Buzz time. My name is Susan Spencer, and today's show is all about you and the choices you make as a businesswoman. My guest is an accomplished and popular business coach who hails from the Chicago area. I'm thrilled to have Linda McCabe on the show. Linda, please say hello to our listeners, and let's jump right into the hot seat with you by giving your opinion as to why women in business should hire a coach.
Hi, everyone. Well, a coach can see your blind spots and hold you accountable, be a source of new and creative ideas, celebrate your successes with you, be a source of strength when you're feeling defeated. As in my case, also, they can bring lots of years of experience. For me, it's been 30 years in business. I think many of my clients feel that they have their own personal guru to guide them. Some people hire a coach to be a cheerleader and keep them in the game. Some hire a coach because they want direction and how to. So many of my clients tell me they know what they want to do, but they just don't know how to do it. On the other hand, some of my clients feel lost because they don't know what they want, and they hire me to help them uncover a passion that will also be a good source for making money. As for being a woman, women love to work collaboratively, and they gain strength and momentum from working toward their goals with someone else.
Well, I think all of that is true, Linda, but I wonder in the process of this great increase in coaching that I've seen over the last 5 years, I don't know how many executive coaches we have in the United States, but it sure is a heck of a lot more than we've had for the last 20 years. And so there must be something going on with women that says, I really think I need to reach out and find a coach that's going to help me, that's going to guide me, that's maybe mentor me, that maybe will listen to me. Is it just a difference? Is it almost like being on the, going to a shrink and being on the couch? And do you think that gives them a false sense of security that makes them more dependent on you rather than independent?
I see what you mean. No, not at all. I don't think it gives them a false sense of security. I believe I'm a guide and that my clients have to do a lot of the work themselves. I see that when women begin working with me, they may feel somewhat dependent, but once they start experiencing change, and that happens after 2 to 3 months usually, they feel empowered, and that contributes quite a lot to their being fully independent. When a coach demonstrates the talents and capabilities of a client, the women blossom. They get excited about possibilities, and they become more creative. Most people don't want to be dependent on anyone. Most want to express their power through their work, and working with a coach doesn't create a false sense of security. Instead, working with a coach develops mental muscles and gives the client a strong sense of their true self and how dynamic that is.
Well, I think obviously that the value of a coach is how good are they. If they're really good and if they really focus on the individual in a positive way and are able to identify the issues they need to work on, then obviously it's going to help them. The question is, how does somebody who's listening figure out who's good and who isn't? Is there a suggestion you can give to our listeners as to how they should determine whether a coach that they look at is right for them and is going to be able to do things that they want them to do, or in terms of assistance?
Well, I think that it's really a matter of anything else. Like it's very similar to any other process. You have to like the person. You have to trust that person. I know with a lot of coaches, I think that sometimes they want to lead a person to their answers, and I don't work that way. I definitely offer ideas and suggestions, but I don't just lead my clients to an answer. If I know how to help them, I just give them the information they need. Sometimes we have to put our heads together and glean the answer from our combined knowledge. However, if I know an answer, I gladly tell them. I personally would find it annoying to talk with someone that had information that could help me and yet insisted on a process in which I had to go through hoops and keep getting hints that may be supposed to help me pull the answer out of thin air. I would feel frustrated with that. I wouldn't like to be treated that way, and definitely do not do that with the people I'm fortunate enough to work with. So you have to make sure that they're going to deliver the information clearly and according to the style that you like.
Well, that's great advice, and I think that every listener out there has to kind of find their way, and I wouldn't suggest that they go to one coach, pick one out, and automatically take that one, even if it feels good. I think they need to go to a couple of them to see different styles and different personalities so that they have something to compare to, and then go back and pick the one that they think really, of the ones that they've looked at, is one that works for them.
I agree with you. I think that's the best thing to do, too.
What business skills do you emphasize that you think help your clients succeed as a woman and a woman in business?
Okay. I help my clients with many business skills. If I had to pick, like my top 3, they would be sales, networking, and time management. For one thing, too many business people go into business because they have a passion for something, and they actually lack business skills. The most necessary component for business, to me, is cash, earning revenues, and that's what I stress. I believe the 3 top skills that are necessary to do that are, as I said, sales, networking, and time management. And often business people are good at the service they offer or the product they make, but many lack basic networking and sales skills. Often people in business forget that they must sell in order to get clients. Selling can mean many things, such as contacts on social media sites, knowing where to network, knowing how to conduct a sales interview, maybe building relationships, effective follow-up, etc. So many people misunderstand what selling is, and they think it's convincing or forcing someone to buy something when actually it's connecting someone who has a challenge with someone who has a solution. That's what business is all about. So having selling skills makes all the difference in whether or not someone succeeds in business. And also, if one doesn't manage time well, all the other business skills become ineffective, in my opinion. So learning how to do it all in one's business and still have time for family, friends, recreation, self-care, which is so important. That's important for maintaining stamina in order to remain positive and energetic enough to grow a business. And running a business or working for someone else is simply not easy. Knowing where to go to find prospects or referral partners, knowing what to say to prospects once they find them, knowing when to do what to follow through, and knowing not to do too much and still do a great job, those are essential skills for success. And were you asking specifically about women?
Well, obviously, I was asking about women, and obviously if you're suggesting to them that they need to make sure that sales is a very important component of it, what skill do you think they need the most in order to go out and tackle and make a sale?
I don't know if I would call it a skill. They need self-confidence, they need belief, and they need the ability to find and use resources.
Okay, great. Those are great suggestions, and I think those are all part of the element of what we're trying to do, which is to come with a broad perspective of what do you need to succeed in business. And I think you've given us some really good 3 top ones that are ones that women should really write down and understand. Can you give us a story to give our listeners a better idea of how the process of being a coach works, about somebody you've worked with in the past that illustrates how you have worked them through to an excellent result?
Oh, yeah, that's fun. Okay. For one thing, I work very hard when I first interview a prospective client to determine if that particular client is a good fit for me. And not everyone is coachable, and often people delude themselves about wanting to improve their business. My philosophy in coaching is to be genuine, to be diligent about getting the truth from clients, building their confidence by seeing the magic and the beauty that exists in someone that they may not see in themselves, and continually making them aware of those strengths and talents. One client that I've been very excited about was a young woman who was an underwriter in an insurance company, and mostly she just wanted to learn client relationship skills and perhaps a bit about getting new clients. As we worked together, we discovered her untapped dream. She loved fashion, and she'd often doodle purse designs. You know, you'd see her drawing, and she never realized that she could take this delicious talent and make it her life's work. And we worked with her to start her purse company, and she's loving every second of it. People so often stay in a space of what I call doubt. They emphasize their shortcomings. They diminish their strong points. I consider it my job to keep them aware of their particular talents and abilities that they often negate. To them, they just think they're not important. I help them see those gifts, and with that vantage point, they feel empowered and more clear about how to achieve their goals.
I think that must mean that you have a very special gift, because it takes one to know one. In order for you to be able to pick them out, you have to have a pretty good sense of who you are and what gifts you have. And I think that sounds like it's a really great strategy, because if women are not passionate about what they do, it makes it really hard to motivate them to reach a different level. And that was a great story. I really appreciate it. How much time does it generally take you to complete a coaching course with someone, or are you never finished with them?
Well, it depends on, in my particular case, the programs that they choose. We have a program that we call APEX, which is focused and facilitated group coaching sessions. Now, that meets once a month, and someone can graduate after 1 year, or we have clients that have stayed on for 5 or 6 years. We have something called Aspire, which is an individual coaching program for APEX members. And again, someone can complete the program in a year, or they can remain for several years. And we have a program we call Ascend that's individual coaching for someone who's not an APEX member. And we also have business consulting launching. And I have launch clients that finish in a year, or they continue for longer. And the reason people decide to stay on is that they find they're more efficient and they get more done using a coach. They appreciate the support, and they enjoy the feeling that they're more in control. Strangely enough, when you have a coach, you know that person is more in control, and they feel that they have a greater power with the guidance and the direction. They have a sounding board, and they have a helping hand. Kind of lifts them up. So as far as how long to stay, it's we have people that graduate because they feel, I came in to find this out, I found this out, and they're gone. Other people say, I like the process, and they feel good doing it.
Well, is it then a crutch for them? Is it kind of a sounding board, as you said? Is it something that they feel they need that to reinforce who they are, that they can't go out now and just go slay the dragon? They got to keep coming back in to get reinforced.
Yeah, I don't believe that happens. To me, the best way I can relate it to you is that when you're married, you have a partner, and it gives you a little more strength, it gives you a little more confidence. I think it's very similar to that. I don't think it's a crutch.
Well, I guess it depends on how you look at it as to how you define it, and I think that each person is different, and that's the reason why coaches exist, is because they deal with all kinds of different personalities, and they're able to give some a sprinkling that's enough and they want to go off on their own, and they give others a sprinkling and they want that sprinkling and that nourishment that they're obviously not getting somewhere else. They're going to need to get it from someone, and if there's a mentor that they trust and they care about, they're going to get it from them, even if they have to pay for it. And that's probably not a bad result.
If it brings the success they're looking for, then they're going to keep doing it, I think.
Well, especially those that feel that they need that nourishment and they need that reinforcement. And there are lots of women who need that reinforcement. They're not getting it somewhere else. They may not have somebody that's a partner that they can talk to business about. They're just not, and that's not unusual. A lot of women don't have other people that they can talk to, especially their husbands, who most of the time don't want to listen.
My experience is that women in business often feel very lonely. So it's nice to have somebody.
Well, is it because because their husbands don't talk to them about it or don't want to share it with them?
I think that in many cases, people in general don't understand business women and what really drives them. They're a little bit of a different animal.
And so therefore they kind of need to have somebody that gets it, that understands who they are.
Yes.
Rather than trying to talk to somebody that really doesn't get it, whether it's a husband or a friend or a partner or whatever it might be, that really is coming from a different place and therefore doesn't understand their joy and their successes.
And their drive. Exactly.
And their drive. And I think that's why we see so many more coaches today, because I think women are giving themselves the luxury of a coach that fits with them, that fits their needs and gives them some mentoring, which otherwise they may not get. And it seems to be very successful. It seems to be driving other women to a greater success than they would have had. And I'd like you to share with us, if you can, your greatest success story as a coach, because I think that our listeners would like that.
Wow, after 11 years of doing this, settling on my greatest success is difficult. I guess one of my favorites is a woman who years ago left a large marketing company to go on her own. She was able to take many of her clients with her, and her business grew with word of mouth. But she never sold or did any marketing to develop that business. And then the Great Recession came. She lost every single client. And when she first talked with me about the possibility of working with me, she told me point blank that she hates selling and she wouldn't do it. So I, in turn, told her I was sorry for her plight, but I wouldn't work with her because I simply couldn't see how she could grow her company at the pace that she wanted to or needed to without selling. And she felt awfully desperate and decided to hire me. In the beginning, she kicked and screamed, and then somehow I got through to her, and she agreed to learn how to make sales calls and worked with LinkedIn, which is a social media site. And she now has nearly the same exact revenues as before the recession. And now her challenges that she's facing about how big should she grow? Should she hire or use independent contractors? How should she delegate all the work that she has, and also how to say no to some prospects? Different kinds of challenges, so I think it's a great success story.
Well, it is a great success story, and what you were able to do for her apparently is to get her into type of selling that is much less personal, less one-to-one. On a medium like LinkedIn, it's kind of impersonal. You network, but you may never meet the person, and you certainly don't have to talk to them. You just communicate through the internet. And so that kind of selling she could probably do.
It was initially that, and then it was making deeper connections.
Right.
But it was something that was comfortable for her.
And sometimes you just put your toe in the water at first, and when you put your toe in, and you don't get burnt and you don't get bitten, you figure, okay, this is not too bad. I think I'll keep doing this. So it takes a great coach to do that, Linda, and it's clear that you are one of those because it takes persistence and patience and understanding and a whole lot of insight. And from everything I've heard and everything I've read about you, you are really one in a very few that is very gifted, and I congratulate you for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being my guest today and giving our listeners a chance to discover how an experienced and talented coach operates. I welcome you to go to the website, look up Linda's web, go on it if you'd like, noodle around. If you want to join her, you certainly can do that. And I think it would be a good investment of your time and energy. Your takeaway for today is this. When you feel that you have nowhere to go and you need somebody that's going to listen to you and that's going to be able to understand where you're coming from, think about the possibility of using a coach. Select carefully, think about it carefully, try to identify what it is you want them to work with you on, but don't be afraid to venture out. If you have any comments or questions, you can email me, and if I use your comment on the air, I will send you an autographed copy of my book, Briefcase Essentials. So until next time, I've been there, done that, and now it's your turn.